Welcome back. It's time for another take two with Therese, and I've got two beautiful floral panels to share with you today. And I'm using the Dog Rose panel. This is an A and a B die, so you can actually layer them together, or you could use them independently. I just want to show you the size of the die. It's not like a cover die. It doesn't cover the whole front of a card, but it does make a real statement on your card design. It can be like the main focal point. So a really beautiful die. I'm going to start by creating a watercolor effect in the background. There's some nice bright colors, and I've got a couple of sheets of it's the Watercolor Paper Pad. This is from Altenew. It's 100% cotton, cold press. It's 140 pound. It is a nice thick watercolor cardstock and holds up to lots of water. And I'm making a mess here, and I don't know if you're like me. I don't like getting ink on my fingers. So I went and got a pair of gloves, and that made me happy. So I am spritzing the pieces of watercolor cardstock and adding my color. Now this is with the watercolor brush marker refills, so they're beautiful bright colors. And what I'm doing here is waiting for it to dry in between and then adding some more color. And I did actually look at the picture and worked out roughly where I wanted the colors to be a little bit deeper and added those, and then I could just set these aside to dry. And once that had happened, I simply did the die cutting. So I started by die cutting the B plate from my yellow and green sort of piece of cardstock here, and I've got one of these brush tools, and I did use my metal shim when I was die cutting this out because it is quite an intricate die, especially with all those little holes in the center of the flower where the sort of stamens are for the flowers. It's multiple. And then I did cut down my red pink panel and use some liquid glue to hold them together. Now just use little dots of the liquid glue because I don't want them to ooze out the sides, and this is a matte medium, and I couldn't work out here what I'd done wrong, but I had it turned upside down, didn't I? I was wondering why it just wasn't looking right. Luckily I hadn't actually set it down on top, but the matte medium does dry matte, so that does help. You wouldn't probably really have seen it. So now all my layers together, I did actually go around the outside with a black marker, and the sentiment today I'm going to white heat emboss on some jet black cardstock, and this is from the Statement Flowers stamp set. And all that's left to do on this card is pop my panel and my sentiment up on the front of the card. And I do like to use the black foam squares behind my black sentiments, that way they're less visible, I find. But you could certainly use whatever you have. Alright, so now it's time to get going on my second design, which is kind of similar but different. This time I wanted to add that watercolor look again, but I decided to do it with design paper. And this is the set called Alluring Blooms paper pack, and I wanted it to be fairly subtle, not quite as bright as my other design. So I just sort of worked out where I wanted my image to be on the design paper, and die cut the B plate out again, and I used my brush tool. It seemed to work very well, and then this time I decided to actually add a frame and make my die cuts like filling in the negative space. You'll see what I mean in a moment. So to create my frame, I actually just die cut the A die out of the center of a piece of pale grey cardstock. I know it's going to fit beautifully. And I just wanted to show you here, I was playing with some layers and did really like the look of having a black background here and adding either the pale grey to the top or a white, but I didn't do that in the end. I just wanted to show you, just in case you like that. Tell me if you did or didn't like that compared to what I actually end up doing here. Like I said, I wanted this to be layered up. So I'm actually, this very top, or the A die here, I've actually cut it 3 times. So the jet black is my top layer, and then I've got 2 layers of white cardstock. Just that was the 80 pound in the white, the Nina, and I've layered those together. And now I want to layer this on top of the design paper, which has sort of a shiny finish. So I did use my liquid glue here just to be sure. I know that's going to hold really strongly. And then I layered it up again and again. And it still wasn't high enough, so I've added some foam tape on the back. I just wanted it to have that gap between that and the design paper piece that I chose to sit on the very background instead of the black. I thought I liked the black outline on top for these colours for some reason. I don't know, I think I preferred it. Now, to line up this centerpiece, what I did was temporarily adhere my grey border on the front of my card and then lay that in place, and then I added the fun foam to the back of my border, and I can just attach that on top. I've got a sentiment that I've white heat embossed here from the Sentiment Strips 2 set. I did it in pink, which I initially thought might look nice, but I didn't like it, so I did it in black, and I preferred that one. I just thought I'd show you the two options. I tossed these cards around for ages, and really they were quite simple to make and lots of fun. So if you like this video, click on the thumbs up button to let us know that you did, and if you haven't already, it'd be great if you could subscribe to the channel here. There's always lots of inspiration, and I look forward to seeing you back here again real soon. Till then, bye.